Hi friends! I know it's been a hot minute since we have seen each other, but been a little busy. So, busy, but normal busy, but things just I got caught up. So, sorry, but we're gonna work on a necklace that I've already started because we're gonna finally talk about Cold Cases by Cheyna Roth. This is my official book now. How much fun that is. All the notes I've taken on it. It's for a book club too, so I tend to take a lot of notes when there's a book club involved. But I struggled with what kind of necklace to make for this because they're cold cases, or almost all of them are at this point, and they're sad. So I didn't want to do anything disrespectful. And I'll get to what finally sparked my brain. But anyways, so grab your tea, grab your tools, whatever you're working on, jewelry, knitting, crocheting, painting, grab your tools. I got my tea. I'm gonna take a sip of it. I guess let's get started. So Cheyna Roth, in her book, Cold Cases, a true crime collection, she goes over 10 cases, cold cases, obviously. All of them are still cold except for the last one, and she does mention it. The last case that she goes over is GSK, the Golden State Killer. By the time she published the book, she was able to include Joseph DeAngelo's name in it, but at that time, obviously, he had not been convicted of anything. So he was in custody, but he had not been convicted. And we know as of just, 2 weeks ago? Last week, 2 weeks ago? That case is finally, as far as the courts are concerned, finished. So anyways, but the rest of them are definitely still cold cases. She starts with Ted Cruz. I mean, the Zodiac Killer. His crimes were in the late 1960s. He had 5 victims total. I used 5 beads to represent that. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about the Zodiac Killer. We know everything we know about him. I like the way Cheyna, though, I was a little weary of getting into this book because she, most of these cases we've seen all the specials and the docu-series and the this and the that, and she just has a different approach. She is able to convey, I don't want to say wit. It's wit, but it's not dry. She definitely interjects her personality in there, and it made me chuckle from time to time, not in a disrespectful way as far as the victims are concerned, or the harshness of the realities. But like at one point, where do I have it written down? Like she talks about in the Zodiac Killer, she says, we all know he wrote, or somebody wrote, ciphered letters to newspapers, and nobody could crack the code. The government, FBI, CIA, whoever 1960s important people were, and this woman, quote, housewife, solved it. Her name was Betty Hardin, and but at the time they want to just refer to her as like they talk about her husband, not her, because they both kind of sat around and did it together, but it was her who actually cracked the code. So, you know, she makes some funnies about that. I straightened out my wire last night, but I clearly was very tired. So I didn't do a very good job with a lot of this. Then we move on to Elizabeth Short, aka Black Dahlia. Here she points out that the newspapers, when describing Elizabeth Short and the gruesome scene, they always had to throw in an adjective of pretty attractive or something to that effect. And how that I just chalked her up to her physicality instead of anything else. Which is, we still see that, obviously. And by dehumanizing her in that way, running with, you know, a lot of people don't know Black Dahlia's name. They only know Black Dahlia. They don't know Elizabeth Short. And one of the last places that she is known to have visited was this hotel bar, and that hotel and its bar are still standing. And to this day, they have a drink special called the Black Dahlia. So, well, little macabre, little, you know, it's an unsolved murder, and it's a gruesome murder of a young woman. And yeah, which brings us to the next case that's gone over, is Natalee Holloway. And Cheyna Roth goes over the fact that, like, here's this beautiful young woman who goes missing, and she garners much more attention, press, police budget, than women from the island, natives to the island, garnered. Like, she's this young, beautiful white woman that went missing, and we always tend to pay more attention to them for some reason. And Cheyna Roth just definitely goes over that and kind of punches you in the gut with it, you know. Natalee Holloway deserves to be found. She deserved the attention. She deserved everything, but so not to take away from her, but understanding that she wasn't the only young woman that went missing, but she seems to be the only name we know from that period of time. And that's an issue. That's an issue. And then that bleeds right into the Freeway Phantom, DC 1970s, the next story, and 6 little black girls were killed. And they really didn't themselves get really any press, to the point that, like, even in that direct area, there wasn't enough press that mothers kept sending their young daughters out of the house to run errands, knowing this person was on the loose. So it's just disturbing. And that actually is the reason, something she said on page 114. Here, I'll read it to you. Page 114. This is what inspired me to make the necklace in the way I did. What happens when people like me and the families are gone? Jenkins asked Thompson. This will be forgotten. Basically, because hardly any attention was given to these cases. Not in the way of maybe 6 little white girls had gone missing, and still hasn't been given the attention that these little girls deserve. What they're going to be forgotten once their family members, once their friends are gone. And so I wanted to make a necklace that represented the victims as much as I could, So GSK, Golden State Killer, he has officially, as of right now, been convicted of 13 rapes and 13 murders, but we know that there's more. So I have 13 yellow agates, 13 more little yellow agates, and then a small extra one that's faceted, because we know there's more victims. We know. The Zodiac Killer. I did 5 what we call blue stones. It's a manufactured stone. It's blue goldstone, rather. Goldstone is the original stone that's manufactured. It's like bronze. This is a blue version of it. I did the Black Dahlia with a dark faceted garnet. Natalie Holloway, just a very pretty mottled pink mookaite, Mookaite, mookaite. JonBenet Ramsey, with this cut crystal. Sorry, I didn't go over her yet, but I'm going to do these black banded agates that are faceted for the 6 little girls in the Freeway Phantom. Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum had 13 paintings stolen in 1990. Most of them stolen from the Dutch room. So I tried to do like a Dutch blue. D.B. Cooper. He requested, so I used ruby and zoisite. Zoisite is Zoisite, if I'm not mistaken. So I used these black and greens. There's ruby in here. I don't know if you can see. I tried to pick ones that didn't have a whole lot, but there's a little bit of a pink in there. And that's actually ruby. Some of them are, I should have gotten out an example of one that's really good, but some of it, there's like big spots of like a pink or a dark pinkish purple. He requested 4 parachutes. So I did 4 of those. The Mad Butcher, or the Torso Murder out of Cleveland. I did 13 known victims that we have of his out of coral, 13 little coral beads, and I did 9 of these amber colored agates for Amber Hagerman. She was 9 years old, and her death inspired Amber Alert. So I tried to honor especially the human victims. I know these 2 are slightly different, but I tried to honor the human victims as best as I could. So anyways, so JonBenet Ramsey, we all know that. We all know that story. If you know anything, you don't even have to be a fan of true crime to know that story inside and out. Still just a complete tragedy. But when you look at which Cheyna Roth goes over, the Black Dahlia case, the Natalie Holloway case, the JonBenet Ramsey, these sensationalized cases of these pretty females. And JonBenet obviously wasn't a woman, but just these pretty females. It becomes very sensationalized. Like if you're a victim of a crime, you have to be beautiful in order to get attention, or you have to be perfect. We know now with what's going on in our country, I have a very dear friend now, an angel in my life, has said to me, and says to people, why do you need your victims to be perfect? And that just resonates every day in what I read about, what I pay attention to. People aren't perfect. Why do we need our victims of crime to be perfect? And that tends to happen with pretty white women. They get a lot of attention, but no one else does, because either they're not seen as perfect victims, therefore not worthy of the attention, somehow had it coming, or some version of that, or they're not seen as important as the other victims. So just something that makes you think. Sorry. So, yeah, this is a little depressing today. Sorry. True crime will get you in the gut like that sometimes. So John Bonet, Freeway Phantom. Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, 1990 in Boston. Fantastic museum. It's this woman who set this museum up in I think she started in the late 1800s. Again, this is where Cheyna Roth's personality kind of shines through in some of these descriptions. Basically, it's an old house that this woman lived in that she decided she was going to collect all this art in while she also lived there. And then with the intention of when she died, it would become a museum. And it's been that way ever since. And what boggles my mind about that one, and I always forget it until I read it again, because there's the assumption of it's an art museum. There's some security, probably not the best security, but it also was 1990. None of this stuff was insured because it was too expensive to insure it. Like, their operating budget wasn't enough to keep the doors open, pay employees, and insure the artwork. So they just decided not to insure the artwork. Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm glad I'm not the one that made that decision, because holy crap. Anyways, that's a really interesting one, because in the art world, you're not going to see these paintings for decades. Like, they'll probably resurface at some point, but not for decades, because they're either sitting in a warehouse somewhere. These are long-term investments with these thefts. They're either sitting in a warehouse somewhere, storage, waiting for the right time, or they're sitting in someone's office, private office, and it's just a power thing. Eventually that person will either need money or die, and that's when that artwork will come back on the market. So that's a long game there. So eventually we'll see those artworks again, but probably not for, well, it's been, what, 30 years? Probably another 10, 20 years, I would assume. Look at me talking like I know this stuff. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I do read up a lot on it, because once upon a time, I had a dream that I was going to chase stolen artwork all over the world. I don't know if that job, though, allows for naps. I need a job that lets me take naps. Ugh. Anyway, so then D.B. Cooper. Wonderful D.B. Cooper. I haven't paid, you hear the D.B. Cooper story, you know, you see it everywhere, you've heard it a few times over at this point. I don't generally pay a whole lot of attention to it for multiple reasons. The main one being, it's a dude that stole some money, he didn't kill anybody else, he didn't take anybody down with him, and he disappeared. It's not that it's not exciting. It's a dude that stole money. Like, I don't get the romance in it. I don't get the sensationalism of it. And I mean, I guess he, you know, because he jumped out of an airplane and was never seen again. I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe bank robberies also have never really got me going. So I just see this as a robbery in the sky. I don't know. she did touch on which I know some people don't. So I'm glad she did, touched on what's called the Robin Hood letter. Because people started, saying that he was Robin Hood, and for various reasons. And she's right. It's a sad letter. It's a guy who's just like, dude, I had some bills to pay, and I could do this thing, so I did this thing. All right, see you later. It was just pathetic almost, and I kind of, in this context, even though I've seen it before, I've read it before, whatever, I kind of pulled at my heartstrings a little bit for him. But I don't know. So I don't know. So if we believe the letter, then we got to believe that he survived the jump. And if he survived the jump, then maybe he just really was just trying to pay off a mortgage, or just did the thing so he could do the thing. It was an adventure, and then went back to his wife who yells at him to take out the garbage. Which, by the way, don't ever make your wife yell at you to take out the garbage more than once ever. Just take out the darn garbage. That was my little side bitterness, I guess. So, yeah, I don't, D.B. Cooper, just whatever. I'm not going to get into too much of him. Then the sad case of little Amber, 1996. I totally forgot it was a complete stranger who started the Amber Alert system. I thought it was someone in her family, but it was her family kind of just signed off on it. But it was this woman, she tells this story of being overseas, Southeast Asia, a country in Southeast Asia, I'm pretty sure. And this woman's freaking out because her kid's gone missing. And this other woman says, sit down, it'll be okay. And then kind of starts like the weirdest game of telephone in this mall. And, oh, the kid's found. So she's like, why can't we do that here? So, yeah. It's just a sad story. So that's a little nine little beads for her 9 years old. The Mad Butcher, or the Torso Killer of Cleveland. As you know, I think I mentioned it, I am in Cleveland, from Cleveland, born and raised. I live in Cleveland. I love Cleveland. It has its faults, yes, but I love it. And so you kind of grow up in this area knowing this story. It's not really told as a boogeyman story, at least it wasn't for me, but it's just matter of fact. Oh yeah, this person did that. Mostly because it's tied to Elliot Ness. And wherever you go in Cleveland, there's an Elliot Ness story. He lived here. He liked to eat dinner here. He was great for Cleveland. So you just kind of get, you just kind of also know about the Torso murders. He was never able to solve them. Obviously, they're cold cases, although they're pretty sure they know who it was. And this man continued to taunt Elliot Ness for the rest of his life, sending him postcards and stuff like that. But we don't know for sure. We're pretty sure. We just don't know for sure. But the man was a doctor. Read up on it. It's interesting. But what I always find fascinating about that story, and I'm so glad Cheyna Roth said something about it. You always hear like, oh, so-and-so found a basket of body parts wrapped in newspaper. Okay. Like one of them, yeah, she actually finds a basket of body parts. She thought they were ham, like pieces of ham. So then she just leaves them. I mean, I guess I wouldn't take a basket of ham just random basket of ham with me, like, anywhere either. I would just leave it. But then she tells her butcher, like, there's somebody in your territory selling ham on the side of the road or whatever. The local butcher gets upset about this. Like, he's going to go investigate. Like, who's selling baskets of ham on the side of the road? What? What world is this? I mean, I know it's what, the 1930s? But still, what world is this? And, he's like, oh, that's not ham. You know, because if anybody's going to know, it's going to be a butcher. And, so, you know, he notifies people. And it just, everybody goes about their business. There's some kids that find some other body parts. And she says, like, you know, they said, oh, they were fine. They just found some body parts. But could you imagine, like, as they got older, how traumatizing that would be? Or maybe it wasn't. It was the 1930s. Who knows? My papa, you know, in the 1930s, he left school in 4th grade and then just hung out with his buddies. Like, he always laughed about it. He'd hang out with his buddies. 10 years old. Throwing rotten garbage at people from the tops of buildings in Cleveland. Like, that's what people did for fun. That's what kids did. They found body parts and threw rotten lettuce at people walking on the street. Who knows? Who knows? It's really interesting. There's a police museum here in Cleveland. And they have some death masks. I want to say of the unidentified, but also 1 or 2 of the identified. Read up on it. The whole thing is bizarre from start to finish, just kind of the way it's handled, and everybody involved, and it's just really interesting. Yeah, like, Ness gets so mad. This area where most of the body parts are found, Kingsbury Run area, it's kind of, a lot of homeless people lived there, a lot of sex workers worked down there. It was where a lot of railroad junctions were, is my understanding. He just got so angry. Because he couldn't, you know, catch the guy, he couldn't make an arrest, so he just burned it all down. He just showed up one day with all the police and the firefighters, and they poured oil on everything and then lit a match. Okay. I mean, no one got murdered after that, or supposedly no one got murdered after that, so maybe it worked, but can you imagine today? They're like, there's too much crime here. We're just going to burn it to the ground. Yeah, I don't think that, no. So anyways. So then that brings us to Golden State Killer, Mr. Joseph DeAngelo. So not an unsolved crime anymore, thankfully. These women were able to have their day in court, and men were able to have their day in court just recently. And we also got to watch videos of how he is not a feeble man, despite what he would like you to think. He is not a sad old grandpa who can't do anything, because in his room, in his jail cell, he seems to have no problems moving around. So we now know, Mr. DeAngelo, that you're a farce, like you've always been. So she ends with that one, and I think that's actually a good one to end on. You know, with Michelle McNamara finally being able to kind of pull out of this together, retired Special Agent Paul Holes working on it, pulling everything together DNA-wise. It's a good one to end on, that, you know, we can solve these cases. Or they are at least solvable at some point, potentially. I don't know. Maybe some of them aren't. I don't know if I'll ever be able to figure out the Mad Butcher one or whatever, but it's interesting. I hope to one day help. This is where I want to do most of my work, is I want to help solve these crimes. I don't know, I mean, I want to catch a bad guy, but my part in it is I want to help the victims who have been unidentified up until this point. I don't know. Anyways. So that's Cheyna Roth's book. She, like I said, you have to read it. It's not super dry. Some of these books tend to be very dry. This one is not dry. I look forward to reading other things by her. I've been Googling her a little bit over the past couple of days because she just seems like I want to read more. What is she? I want to read what she has to say. Super smart. I'm pretty sure she's super funny. So we'll see. I finished this one. I started reading another one by James Renner, True Crime Addict. That one's for another book club that I have this week. I have a couple book clubs this week. That's the Maura Murray case, another very famous unsolved case from 20 years ago-ish. I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that one. I feel kind of icky talking about that one too because honestly, I believe that she ran away and she felt the need to disappear. So I don't want to harp on that one anymore. But otherwise, I don't know. I started school, so school's kind of taken up a lot of my time. Who knew that grade school would take up a lot of my time? But it's fun so far. I can see where I'm going to learn a lot, not just about the field of library science, but I'm going to learn a lot about myself. Some of the things that I'm already being asked to do this semester are pushing me out of my comfort zone. Absolutely terrified, but I guess that's where you grow and learn. When you're terrified and you still have to do the thing. So, gonna have to do the things. So, we'll see what happens. I made this friend this year who is really smart, really nice. And when I say really smart, I mean like game show smart. She's been on a few. She's a professional. And she said, you know what? I wasn't super successful at first. I struggled a lot with the graduate program. And being able to share that with me kind of made all the difference. When you're able to tell somebody, a lot of people tell me, you're smart, you'll do fine. It's fine. It's a lot, but you'll be fine. Like that's all well and good. But for someone to say, listen, I almost fell on my face and I still managed to figure it out. You can take a deep breath because then you know it's okay. You give yourself permission. And she gave me permission to screw up a little bit and be okay with that if it doesn't all come super easy. So I wanted to tell that story, not just because it was profound to me and I'm trying to remember it all the, every little step I take over the next few weeks, but also because I want to pass that on because I think it's important for people to know that you can still come across as a total awesome, I don't want to swear, just super successful, super awesome person, but that can also be intimidating sometimes. So to let people know that you got where you are because you almost fell too. That was pretty cool of her. That stuck with me. So I'm not really doing much, guys. I'm really not. I'm reading books, listening to podcasts as always, but, you know, I threw some graduate school stuff in there, so that's a lot. I'm trying to find a hot minute that I can take pictures and load some more stuff up. This Power Necklace by Naomi Alderman, the last video, I finally finished that. You guys can see it, so it came out really nice. Super excited. Oh, I got this. This is a string of turquoise, Sleeping Beauty turquoise that I love, love, love. But I've had it so long that one or two of the pieces have kind of busted on me, so there's like holes. So I'm restringing it piece by piece. I hate doing it, so it's taking me forever. I'm trying to do a few every night. Yeah. Oh, I ran into a friend this week, and we sat on her porch and talked. We have not sat down and talked in over a decade. And it was one of the most healing, filling experiences I've had in a long time. It was coming home, putting on your comfy sweater, like a Mr. Rogers moment, putting on the comfy shoes and the comfy sweater and saying, "Hello, old friend. How are you?" You know, taking that minute. I'm very excited about the new friends I've made, and I want to continue to make, but being able to connect with old friends in person on their front porch while we catch up and then gossip about our neighbors was just, oh, that was filling. I'm trying to think what's coming up. Just more schoolwork. More schoolwork, more volunteer work, more of that kind of stuff. Sorry, today's been a little bit of a downer, but I'm really tired, and it was a little bit of a downer insight that I had on some of these cold cases, but it's important to remember. It's important to remember some of these cases too. Not just because it was a very attractive woman that was murdered, but because it was a young woman whose life was taken away. She deserves her own justice. These little girls out of DC, they deserve justice. No. Anyways. Oh, I got new furniture so that I can put extra food. I have one of those teeny tiny little kitchens where one person can barely fit into it, let alone two. Like, you literally cannot put two people in my kitchen. Not even exaggerating on that one. And so I got some furniture to put in the dining room, since it's not, I don't really use it as a dining room because it's only me, so my butt eats on the couch or in bed. So now I'm able to put, you know, more than one box. I can buy more than one box of cereal at a time, or I can put away the cases of pop, which is super, super nice. I think I've got new knobs picked out for it and hinges. Just gotta wait and make sure I don't have to buy any more books or anything for school. And I need a new printer, so those are coming first. But after I get those, after I figure out all of that, I'm gonna get some new knobs and hinges and spruce it up a little bit. I'll even be able to buy a crock pot to put in there. That's so exciting. Crock pot food, especially coming up on winter time over here. Because the days are getting, I can already tell the days are getting too short for my liking. Too short for my liking. I want to move somewhere where, you know, like near the equator, where it's just, I'm always going to have a decent amount of sunlight and a decent amount of downtime at night. I love this necklace. We call necklaces like this in the jewelry world kitchen sink necklaces, because they include everything but the kitchen sink. I don't know where that phrase came from. I don't know when it was applied to this type of jewelry. I don't know how long jewelry like this, that's just kind of mishmashed, has been around. I've heard some theories. I don't necessarily believe them because I think they're a little racist, but yeah, kitchen sink necklaces. I've always liked making them. I have a collection of beads that don't quite match the strand, or they're just one left over after I design something, and I put those aside, and every couple years I have enough of the same size or the same type, you know, that look nice enough together that I can make a really cool kitchen sink necklace out of. So that's part of what took me a little bit longer on this book and this necklace, is because I wanted to find beads that matched up with the cases, but that also still ended up vibing together. I think I did okay. Hey, look at these guys. I hope you can see them. They're agates and they're faceted. And if I'm not mistaken, these would be probably dragon's vein agate, and all that means is that it's got a lot of veins running through it. But when you dye it, some of the areas take the dye stronger than others, and so you end up with a lot of variegation. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Some people absolutely hate it. And I've seen this come out in some very, very ugly ways. So I get it. But sometimes it comes out kind of cool. I think that's it. I don't know. I mean, I could be able to talk to you about all kinds of wonderful things. Like the cat and I had a really good, solid nap earlier this morning. I had to get up early for a video chat, and then I just zonked on the couch with the cat, and she just slept on my chest the whole entire time. I think she may have farted on me once or twice, but who cares? I could tell you all about that. I don't know. Y'all don't want to hear about that. Like I said, I just finished up James Renner's True Crime Addict. I have a couple of books waiting to be read. So hopefully I'll be able to get a video out to you all here pretty soon that centers around a book. If not, I promise I'll just check in regardless. Because I like doing these. And I'm going to take pictures soon, I promise, within the next day or two. So this necklace, the necklace I'm working on right now, these all should be listed hopefully within the next 4 or 5 days after this video has been published. So I think that's it. Again, sorry this week's was a little bit of a downer, but like I said, I'm a little tired, and this book's kind of thought-provoking. So anyways, be kind to one another out there. Make sure that you take care of one another. You listen more than you talk. And stay safe. All right, friends. Talk to you soon.